You were live.
All right, Jerry, you're good.
Okay. All right, it's we'll call the meeting to order at 6:01, and all of the commissioners are present. Uta, our liaison, will be joining us shortly. Additions and deletions to the agenda. One thing that I missed, that was obvious that I missed it, but and I would add it to the agenda as our first item for discussion is the rescue and fire runs. So I'll ask for a motion to add those on to our discussion items as really the first item.
Jerry, do you want to just make those, do you want to do it at the very top, or you just want to add it after set the millage study session, just make it?
I can do it. Yeah, we can do it at number H. Is that fine?
And then, Jerry, if we can add one other thing, can we add the Park Lane bridge as item number I guess, after rescues and fire runs?
That's fine with me. Can I have a motion to add those two items as H and I?
Support. Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, who supported that?
Dallas.
I brought it. Dallas supported it.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting. I trust you've all read it. If there are any comments, if not, I'll need a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second? Good evening, Uta.
Good evening.
Good
Sorry,
evening.
I'm late.
It's all right. Is there a second to this motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Done. Expense report, Rusty.
Discussion items, did you say, Jerry?
Yeah.
Okay, our first discussion item is the carports.
No, the expense report.
Expense report, I'm sorry. Our expense report, as you can see, is included in there. April 1st, we started our new budget for this year. So we're starting over new as of the 1st of April. The last quarter, everything went as usual. We were over a little bit as we expected. It takes about 1.5 roughly to run a fire department year in and year out, and that's been consistent for the last 10 years. So that's it. We were pretty close.
Any particular thing you'd like to call out, Rusty, or not?
Nothing special. No.
Any questions or comments from the commissioners?
Yes, if I can add something, this 1.5 mils, this is a volunteer department. If this was a paid department, this would be 3 mils plus. Plus, we have a real bargain here with what we have, and we have the best of the best. And this is something that we can never lose sight of in terms of where Grosse Ile is. This is, as I've said, and I don't want to get in my soapbox here, but this is a familial thing. This is a group of individuals, a generational group, and we have new people here now. We have something that nobody else has. And this 1.5 mils that Grosse Ile is spending for this level of service is a bargain. It just, there's no other way about it. We have something that nobody else has. And I hope that the population of Grosse Ile, the residents, the taxpayers of Grosse Ile are watching this meeting tonight and know what they are getting. When they call for 911 or a fire, they have instant response, not I'll get there when I get there. Not like some of the other communities where they have paid on call or they have a dual department and the place is burned to the ground. We have the best of the best in people and equipment, and we have something that is pretty amazing in these times. So I'm done with my conversation there. I'm off my soapbox.
Well said, Kurt. And we're going to get into a bit of that when Rusty gives us a personnel update and see. And then, of course, the recommendation for a millage study session. We're going to get into those very items, Kurt. So thank you for bringing that, making those comments. If there are no further questions, can I have a motion to accept the expense report?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Rusty, you just want to go through these discussion items?
Our first discussion item is the carports. If you've driven by the station, you'll have seen that they have started on them on the south side of the building. If you remember, this started out as a project in back, and we whittled it down to some new carports. It's been a year and a half. The contractors had some problems, but the carports are going up and they're moving along. So we're glad to see that finally come to fruition.
Any questions?
Any questions on that?
Okay, next item.
Our next item is the Riverview Fire. On Easter Sunday night at midnight, we had actually Monday morning at midnight or so, just before that, we got a request from Riverview Fire Department for mutual aid for an apartment fire at the River Crossings Complex on Pennsylvania by Kennenbeck. The building was fully involved. They asked help from several fire departments downriver. Grosjean showed up with our ladder truck and a pumper. And we set up on the south side of the building. The fire was on the north end and working its way towards the south. It's a 3-story apartment building. It started in the garden level and made its way up to the attic and was coming across the attic from the north or from the west to the east. We set up, all the other hydrants were taken, so we had to pump from a hydrant all the way on Pennsylvania, which was quite a distance away from where we set our ladder truck up. We used our pumper, and our guys performed flawlessly, perfectly. We got our ladder set up, we got our pumper set up. We started relaying water to our ladder. We got our ladder up in the air, and we got our monitor. We have a 1,000 gallon per minute monitor on the end of the ladder. And once that thing started hitting the fire from the far side of the building, our guys started knocking the fire down with that and making a difference. We also had crews take hose lines. We had a 2.5-inch hose line, which is a good size hose line. We set that up on the north side of the building, and from the ground, the guys were spraying it in. That 2.5-inch line is a big hose. It's a lot of pressure. It takes 2 guys to hold on to that because it's such a large line. We did great. Chad Miller is my lieutenant. And he said some of the other fire departments came up to him and said to Chad, he said, Grosjean is doing an amazing job. You came in, you stayed calm, you set up your ladder truck, you started putting water on it. You actually were hitting exactly where we needed you to hit. And you started putting the fire out, and you started making a difference. And we continued. We got there roughly about midnight. And it went until 6:30 in the morning by the time we were done with everything. They even came up at a point in time and asked 2 of our guys to go in and check for extension into the areas on some of the floors to make sure that we had no fire inside that we did not know of. And our 2 firefighters, Jake Gonzalez and Bob Roscoe, went in with their air packs and checked for that as well. At that point in time, Darren Hageman and Dan set up a ladder on the outside to the 3rd floor, climbed the ladder to the 3rd floor, and we put down all the small fires on the 3rd floor that we couldn't see from the ground with our hand lines and our hose line. And Darren pulled that hose up by himself, held on, and Dan held on, Dan Gaglio, to the ladder, and we got that fire knocked out. We had a great deal of hose stretched out. We had 5-inch hose all the way from Pennsylvania to the pumper, and from the pumper to the ladder truck all the way back. From there, we had to go all the way across the complex with our 2.5 and our 1.5 lines. So it took a lot of work. We were exhausted when we got done with that fire. And after all that, we had to roll up our hose, load it all back up into the back of the pickup truck, bring it back to the station. You have to wash all the soot off of it, clean everything off the hose. And then we got to load all that hose back on that truck, which takes a lot of time and it's very labor intensive. They were there until 6:30, 7 o'clock the next morning, nonstop. We also had a crew that came in and they manned the station in case we had a rescue, because we still have the duty of covering the island. But we had 2 trucks out, a ladder truck and an engine on a fire, a command vehicle, and we still had a crew back here manning the island. And we did have a rescue call. Our men took care of that rescue call and handled it, all with volunteers. If we were working with a full-time fire department, there would have been 4 guys on duty. We could have never handled everything that we did. I got a email from the chief of Riverview. He was very grateful for our equipment and our manpower. Very grateful. And he was exhausted. They started that fire an hour early before we got there. So it was a long night for all of us, but kudos to our guys. I can't tell you how proud I am of them. They did an excellent job. And to get compliments from other fire departments on how well we did, that's pretty rare. I've been around 25 years. That's the first time we got a compliment from another full-time fire department. I was happy to hear that.
Good show.
Thank you.
Rusty, when we show up at something like that, do we report it to the Riverview fire chief and he tells us what to do and then we run our own part of that operation? Is that how it works?
That's how it works. The chief of the host city that's asking for help, he is the overall incident commander. And he's been there. He knows what's going on. First thing I did when I got there is I asked him, where do you need us and what would you like me to do? And he's the one that said, can you set your ladder up on this east side of the building? And I need you to spray all the way across. And I need you to put the fire out on the far west side of the building. So we'll do it. And then he said, the only hydrant available is all the way down Pennsylvania. You got a long relay and it's a long way to go with water. But that's why we brought the engine, because the engine relayed that water to our ladder. And we were able to do, I think, if I remember correctly, Andrew said we put 37,000 gallons of water through that ladder truck.
Hey, Russ, got a question. Was this, when you're talking about ladder, is this the aerial?
Yes, the aerial.
Okay, right.
And one of the things, we've got some big pumps on our trucks. I watched another department. They were set up and they couldn't reach the fire with their truck and they were closer because they just didn't have the gallon per minute on their pumps that we did. With the bigger pumps, it gives more pressure and more reach. And those trucks really shined. That was their time to shine and they did beautiful.
I think the whole point of this is we have the stuff, the equipment, our aerial. I don't think the other communities have something like this. I'm not certain, but from what you're telling me here is our aerial bigger, better, stronger, and did the great job.
We have nice equipment. We have beautiful equipment. And that's where I give kudos to our previous chief for making sure that this fire department has got the equipment we need. The equipment performed flawlessly. And Riverview was happy we were there. We've asked Riverview's help before in mutual aid. They've given it, as well as Trenton. It was nice to be able to repay them back for the help that they've given us in the past. And it was a long night. We were tired. I got to be honest with you. We were all dragging the next morning when the sun came up when we were still working. But only on Grozil, I think, can you do that. And the guys still had smiles on their faces. Not too many professions that you see that they're in such a hurry to go to work that they hit the bottom of the door driving the trucks out because they're in such a hurry to get to their job. You don't see that very often. I'm proud of them.
That is the whole point of the volunteer organization we have.
Yes.
Good job, Rusty.
Thank you.
I'm certain you'll pass that on to your group of firefighters when you have your next meeting, Russ, and certainly give to them all our congratulations and thanks for a job well done to a downriver neighbor.
My pleasure.
Okay, you want to go on to personnel update?
Personnel update, number C. We currently have several members off right now. Excuse me. Some of those members are off with COVID, some others, some medical. Our numbers keep getting smaller and smaller with the volunteers. I just said what a great job they did, which is true. We could use some more help. Our call volume keeps going up and up and up. And the number of volunteers keeps going down and down and down. And at some point in time, we're going to reach the limit where, as hard as they're trying, we're stretching them too far. And I just don't want to do that. Our job is to make sure this island is covered. And I want to make sure that we have enough manpower and equipment to do that at all times. Our first priority is the safety of the citizens of Grozil. And it's getting harder and harder, I'll be honest with you, to get volunteers.
Rusty, in the past, just even in the last 6 months or maybe a year, we had notifications or banners at Four Corners and Bridge Road saying that if anybody's interested in stepping up and volunteering. Is that something that you and your management team are thinking about doing again?
I would like to bring on some more help. Like I said, the requirements are hard. You have to have a good driving record. You have to go to school for 2 years. The state and the government keeps putting on more and more demands on the fire department. It takes time. And there's less and less people out there with that time available to volunteer. It's getting harder. 20 or 30 years ago, people were beating down the door to volunteer. That's just not true nowadays. And the volunteers...
You, Rusty, also have some budget constraints, don't you?
That's true. With the downfall in the economy back in 2008, it cut our revenue almost in half for operations. We went from bringing in 1.5 to almost 700,000 and overnight. And with the Headley, it's slowly making its way back up, but it's only allowed to come up, I think, 2% per year. So we're still well behind, and we're still trying to keep the fire department going, keep everything moving. And we're living on our reserves, I'll be honest with you. When times were good, we set some money aside for bad times, and those monies are running out. What it costs to run the fire department and what comes in are not equal.
Well, Rusty, why don't you put together a plan with you and your team? Obviously, we need to make sure that the residents are protected and safe with our fire department. put something together, present it to the commission. We'll have to figure out a way to find you the money, right? Because we want to make sure that this island's as safe as it always has been. And like you said, your number of runs are going up and your pet personnel is going down. It can't continue that way. So whatever your plan is, maybe at the next meeting, why don't you present it to us as to what you want to do to try to see if you can increase your personnel power, and we'll go from there.
So if I recall, Rusty, you told me today our reserves will run out in 2 years.
We should be out of reserves in 2 years. We've been living on the reserves for probably the last 5 to 7 years, yes. And it's coming to the end. In 2 more years, we'll be out.
Just wondering, Kurt, with your Kurt Koblak, on your suggestion, do you want to, since we're going to have a village study session, do you want to wrap that all together into that study session?
Sure. Yeah, that'd be perfect. Yeah, I think Rusty and his team can figure out. Rusty's right. It's not cheap to train these men and women. It takes a period of time to get them up and running. But I think if you talk to any of the folks that are volunteering their services right now, they want more people in the department as well, because if they can't make it, they want to make sure that the island's protected and covered. So if we put them together, I think it makes sense.
Okay. Anything else on that item? You want to go on to D and E, these 2 services for our fallen heroes?
Yes, Pete Patt, as I've said in the past, a long-serving firefighter with Grozil. He served on the fire department for 65 plus years. He passed away about a month or so ago, and there will be a memorial service for him April 17th at 10 p.m. at Sacred Heart Church. We will have the fire truck there and the ladder truck there for him. And afterwards, there will be a wake at the clubhouse. All commissioners, all township board are invited. It's saying our gratitude for his 65 years of dedication and service. And I think that it's the least we can do to show him how appreciative. That's a long time. He did a lot. Again, he was a mentor, a leader, assistant chief, very dedicated. His heart and soul was in his fire department.
Rusty, will you or somebody be saying a few words in appreciation at the wake?
I believe so, yes. We haven't sat down and got that hammered out yet with the family, but we have Pete's helmet from when he retired. And I do know we are going to present that to the family in the service. I don't know if it's in the beginning or the end, but that's our show of gratitude for all that Pete has done for this place. Pete's been around a long time, since the 1950s. And,
has any thought been given to a sort of a permanent memorial to Pete, like the naming of something, or is that?
His name adorns one of our fire trucks.
Okay.
And he's on our engine 1, and we did that solely out of respect for Pete and what he did for this fire department.
That's good. Gordy Miles?
Gordon Miles service will be May 15th, and that'll be at the Episcopal Church on East River. And again, afterwards, we will have a wake for the family. Gordon Sr., as you know, had quite a few kids. And there's quite a few kids, quite a few grandkids, and Um, there will be a wake for him afterwards at the clubhouse as well. So another person that was on this fire department for many years, served on our fire commission. You all worked with him. You all remember him. He was a good man. And we were grateful for everything he did and his service to this island. No bigger heart than Gordon's. He was a hardworking, strong man with a heart as big as he was. I really miss Gordon. He was a good man. I liked him. He was always very kind to me.
Do you have a time for the service on May?
I will get back with you on that. I'm pretty sure it's going to be running the same time, 10 o'clock, with the wake to follow afterwards, but I haven't got it confirmed yet.
Okay. You let us know when it's
I
confirmed.
will let you know, yes. And again, all our commissioners, everyone is invited. It's another longtime family that put a lot of dedication into this island. All of us are grateful.
Yeah, Rusty Gordon also served on the road committee, and he did a lot of work with the DPS commission over the years. He did a lot in the community on many levels.
I agree. He was just a good man all the way around. I've never heard anything but good things about Gordon. So he's missed, truly missed.
That's good. Thank you for those updates. Budget review, is there anything, we sort of got into the budget review with the expenses. Is there anything else to add to that?
No, we started the new budget April 1st. We are trying to trim back as much as we possibly can. You can only trim so much back. And we're doing everything we can to keep it as tight as we can. But the cost of doing business with the fire department and the regulations from the government, the ambulance, the EMS, everything, there's just mandated things that we have to do, and there's no way for us to get around them. It takes a good budget to keep this place running day in and day out. The lights got to keep going on. The fuel for the heat, the electricity, the bandages, the diesel for the trucks, the gas for the cars, all the things it takes to run a fire department. And fire equipment's not cheap. There's nothing discount about it. Same with the ambulances and the medical supplies. And the government keeps coming out with new mandates and things we got to do. A couple of years ago, they came out with a mandate. They are putting time restraints on our supplies, expiration dates. I never thought there'd be an expiration date on a plastic cannula for your nose to get air through. But now they come with expiration dates, and we're not allowed to have them on the ambulance if they're expired. All that does is just run our bills up. And the expiration dates on them are short. So we're constantly, because of mandates from the government, having to go through and change things around, have to buy more. It's an expensive business to run, and it's just part of what we have to do. It's what we're tasked with. We don't have a choice.
On this next item, Rusty, on the millage study session, why don't you, per Kurt's suggestion, put something together and then let us know so we can set I hate to set a date before you're ready. But we don't want to delay on this. So if you could put something together and when you're ready, and then I would invite the commissioners, if you have any thoughts, convey them straight on to Rusty so he can incorporate into some kind of a plan that he comes up with and have an agenda. And then Rusty, if you can advise us, then I think we can set a date for the session.
That was the whole intent of this. I don't want to surprise the township board. I don't want to come up to them the day before. We're getting all our ducks in a row, and I'm telling everybody well ahead of time what we've got to deal with, what the costs are, and we obviously don't want to surprise the community or anything else. We just want to keep this place running and running smooth. We want to continue, and the cost of doing business, unfortunately for us, just keeps going up every day. Go ahead, Rita.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak out of turn. I do recall that there is no money budgeted this year for elections, but I think there is money budgeted. We're going to be having elections in 2022. So if,
Right.
if anyone's thinking we can maybe have a millage election this year, we'll end up paying for it, and it's not budgeted.
Yeah, I think what we talked about when Ann visited with us, Uta, was that that's probably the case. That it would be a 2022 event. The question is, it would be good for the commissioners to see what else is coming down the path. As you well know, with these millages, we're not the only one. And we know that there's a talk out there of having another go at a road millage. So the timing of it, so the thought is that we actually take a look at what's coming down the path, and like Rusty said, we'll work on getting our ducks in a row. And study session, Jerry, obviously it would be good to have the finance director there. Obviously, if township board members, the treasurer, I mean, if they want to come as well. But really, it's more for us just to figure out what we're proposing to the township board and why. So I think it's it'll be good to do it if we can get it set, within the next month. It'd be great. It'd be good to do it not on a board or a commission meeting night, so we can focus just our attention on that one issue.
Yep.
So Rusty, I guess we'll go through you, and then we can arrange it.
Sounds good. Thank you, Kurt.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea that we invite the right people from the township to join us and solicit their ideas as well.
Sure.
And I think it's also a good idea to look into what might be earmarked for fire departments, public safety departments in the state and federal, stimulus packages, the infrastructure packages. I know our medical practices got a boost through the CARES Act, related to COVID relief. So again, a lot of this reaction to the pandemic also rests on our public safety departments. And let's, open up and see if we can find some of those monies coming our ways. We've paid into these programs. What can we maybe expect to get back?
To answer that question, Uta, we did apply for several grants. It is very labor intensive, time consuming. The paperwork is, you drowned in it.
That's what I do every day.
We did get, I think several $1,000s, $7,000 or $8,000 to help reimburse us for some of our COVID expenses.
Mm-hmm.
We went together with a consortium from downriver, several different fire departments together to buy the air packs, because our air packs are at the end of their service life. We cannot use them after this year. They are done. They are all out. They're 20 years old. They're supposed to be replaced at 10 years. And we pushed it as far as we could. We got as much out of those as we possibly could. The other fire departments, they formed a group together, and we all put in for a grant. And if that grant does go through, we won't find out until June, but that'll save us probably 70% of the cost of those packs. So yes, we are looking for those things. We're scratching, trying to find every single way we can to save the taxpayers' money. We're doing everything we can. We put in quite a lot of time and effort into several grants and just to get turned down, which is disheartening because you put weeks on end into doing the paperwork and meeting all the requirements. And then to have them say, no, you know, the money, we ran out or it went somewhere else. It's heartbreaking, but we just keep on going. We keep on doing it. And I give kudos to Dawn and Kevin, our fire marshal. They spent a lot of time chasing down grants. They're not guaranteed. That's the problem. It's kind of like the lottery. Yeah, you know, you spin the wheel and you hope you get it, and once in a while you do, but not every time. That's for sure.
Okay, anything more on that item? Okay, item H are the runs, fire and rescue. Obviously, there's a lot of detail we can't get into in a public meeting, but Rusty, any general comments you can make?
If things were down with COVID on the rescue runs, they're not anymore, because the rescue cars just keep on coming and coming and coming. And one of the trends that we've noticed is they keep coming in 2s and 3s at the same time. We've had a couple, several times this week, this month, where the tones go off. And as we're getting back to the station or on the way back from the hospital, they go off for another call. We had last week, or the week before, 3 calls go off at the same time. And it was 3 separate rescues. We have 2 ambulances. We were able to handle 2. We had to call Riverview for mutual aid for the 3rd one. They keep coming in 2s and 2s and 2s, and they keep coming in the middle of the night, which is fatiguing as can be when you're trying to sleep and you're up all night. Each rescue is 2 hours. They run 2 hours long. By the time we do the paperwork, transport to the hospital, bring the ambulance back, restock it, clean it, sanitize it, get everything ready for the next call, and the paperwork done and completed, the computer reports filled out, because that's got to be done right away. It's a minimum of 2 hours on every call. And that's where I say we're fatiguing our volunteers. Our volunteers, when I look at our list of percentages, they're doing 40, 50% of the calls. There's no way that they can possibly do 100%, 7 days a week, 24/7, and keep a job and a family. They are doing as much as they possibly can. Our citizens are safe. We could use some help. We really could use some help.
We're going to work on that, Rusty. We'll work on getting you help.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, Rusty,
Yes, sir.
the bottom line here, Grosse Ile has always supported its own. However we continue to get new people, it's going to happen. We've got good, steady management. We're going to get the funding to keep the department going. They've got a bargain here. When you look at the price that this department costs versus a paid department, it's much less, and the results are much greater. So we're going to work through these items. Yes, there are problems, but we're going to work our way through it. We always have, and we always will. We've got a lot of people on this island that want to step up and help, and I suspect that the recruitment process is going to be pretty fruitful as you move forward here. This place is like no other, and for that simple reason, that is one of the big things. So I think that we're going to be just fine. Are we concerned? Yeah, we're concerned. Are we optimistic? Of course. We're going to pull this out. We always have. So
I agree with you 100%. What drives these guys is their commitment to this community, to know that the community supports them and is behind them. That's what keeps them trying hard and keeps them going. They want to know that they have the support from the township, the citizens, everyone out there. No one wants to volunteer their time and not be appreciated And so we try to do as much for them as we can to keep morale up, keep things happy, keep the men going. And
Okay. Next item. Aye.
Yeah, I raised this just, this was something that was raised when Duncan Murdoch was still the chief. And I know that there's a concern, which is understandable on Grosse Hill with regards to the road, kind of unilaterally shut bridges down that were not up to the necessary requirements that were mandated by probably both the feds and the state. Park Lane Bridge has been shut down now. There's really had been no discussion as to any efforts at all to try to determine how to get that bridge up and running. I think from a public safety standpoint, I mean, if we're concerned about our roads and chuck holes and some of the safety issues that we have with our roads, we should also address that bridge. There's no doubt that there's ways to get around that area. That's what people have been doing since it's been shut down. Thoroughfares there, meridians there, road. It's a lot easier to have that bridge open to service the north end of the island. And, you know, the more I thought about it, you know, because we're an island, because we have an East River and a West River, the fact that we have one of our thoroughfares that surround our island, not a full straight line anymore, I'd personally be more than happy to get involved with the county. I know it's a funding issue, but like Uta said, there's some infrastructure monies that have been coming into Wayne County. I think they're getting, what did I hear, $25 million or $30 million, which could disappear with one project in Wayne County. That's not a lot of money, but I truly believe that we need to focus on that bridge as well, not just our roads, from a public safety standpoint. So it was discussed with the last board. I'm sure it's going to be discussed with this board, but I think we as a commission and myself, I'll take on the challenge of dealing with the county of getting this addressed and at least a schedule as to what their plan is other than nothing. And right now, from my last contact with Wayne County, there is nothing that's scheduled for this bridge. There's just nothing scheduled. It's not even like it's not scheduled for 2022, 23, 24. Nothing is scheduled to get that bridge open. So I just think that we need to address it. I know Duncan was concerned when he was chief. I'm sure Rusty's not happy that he can't get up to the north end quickly like you would want to. And I got to believe police probably have the same issues. So again, it's not going to be fixed overnight. We know Wayne County, but I think we should just have it on our agenda to figure out what the plan is.
Kurt, are you suggesting that you have a small group of people, not necessarily from this commission other than you, but a group that to do something?
Well, yeah, I mean, I know that the supervisor and the township manager, they have regular meetings with the county. But obviously with Kurt, you know, the other Kurt on this commission, he's extremely knowledgeable and has worked with the county most recently with the bridge. I just think we need to explore it. I think we need to put together a small group. Obviously, Joey Palmera lives on that road that this bridge services. He's a Grosse Hill resident and obviously our Wayne County commissioner. I just think we need to make this a focus to make the north end of the island safer than it is right now. And Kurt, I don't know if you want to add anything to it. Obviously, you're on that same road, but you also know bridges.
Well, and I'd had conversation the previous supervisor and the county many years ago with the county. This particular structure, the fix is fairly easy, in my opinion. They can tear out everything that's there, or they can replace the superstructure for a fraction of the cost. And that's not a particularly big project. So this can be done the expensive way, or it can be done the cheaper way, and you're going to wind up with something that's going to last just as long. My conversations in the past, maybe the township takes this bridge over and is responsible for it. And if so, the fix becomes pretty easy. You don't have a lot of new restrictions you have to, or new design requirements that you have to build to. Being a secondary road, I think that's part of it. So depending on where the township and the county want to take this and how the funding goes, the funding to do this the easy way and the correct way is probably half to it's a third of the long, hard way. Most recently, we did the Mesa Island Bridge, and that was a much different situation. That thing was at the end of its service life, and it had really nothing that you could build upon. This particular structure, the abutment and the footing, the element that holds the entire structure, there's nothing wrong with that. Where the issue is with the superstructure, and to replace that, again, is a fairly minor thing as compared to what we did at Mesa Island. So if they don't get hung up on tearing the entire structure out and rebuilding all of it, but yet rehabbing what they have, they're going to wind up with something that's going to last for another 50, 75 years. So there's an easy way and a hard way, and government normally chooses the hard way, but perhaps we can do it the easy way.
What kind of numbers are you talking about?
To tear it out and redo it completely, you're probably $3.5 to $4 million. Do it the easy way, $1.2 million, $1.3 million. So it's there's a big difference. As I said, with Mesa, there was nothing really you could do with that. That's the Hickory Island Bridge. That thing was on piling and it had no big footings, and it had nothing to build upon. It was at the end of its service life, and it's a much different structure than this. The other thing, this particular structure is on the historic register. So, tearing it down and getting rid of it is a prohibited act, and there may be some funding involved to restore it as a historic structure. Bottom line, if there's a will, there's a way. A township could take it over, and once it's done, it's done. So it's going to last for another 50, 75 years. This is not a super big project to do the easy way.
Well, just to start the discussion, Kurt, if you wouldn't mind, would you mind if you and I and Commissioner Palmero would get on the phone and just start the discussion?
That'd be fine by me.
All right. Well, Jerry, why don't we do that just to start? And then we'll circle back with you at the next meeting and just tell you where it's at. I just think from a public safety standpoint, again, roads are important. A lot of things we're talking about is important, but I believe that bridge is just as important to get our police and fire up to service those people that are up on the north end, all the way to the very tip of the island. So I'll reach out to Commissioner Palmera and then Kurt, and then we'll get back. We'll update you at the May meeting.
And Kurt, would you keep me in the loop at least what kind of response you get?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Sure.
And Kurt with the C, thank you for that very valuable analysis. That I found that very helpful. Thank you.
Well, Kurt with the C is almost as good as a Kurt with a K, so it's all right. It's all right.
Well, the two Kurts are going to carry this forward. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
All right, we have one action item, the meeting dates. You have these dates. They're all second Thursday of the month. We need to approve them. And obviously, from time to time, we have to change a meeting to meet various schedules. But right now, this schedule is the second Thursday of each month. So
make a motion to approve the schedule as set forth.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Done. Okay, now we have public comment. We at one point had someone on, but I think that person has disappeared.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's any, I guess there's, Brian, are you still on?
I think I'm hosting it right now, Jerry, so.
Okay, well, I don't see any.
Yeah, if I can just put on my clerk public hat for a second, just reminding everybody that our ambulance and a couple of firefighters will be participating in the Wayne County Grosse Ile COVID vaccination clinic that's taking place tomorrow. at Grosse Ile Township Hall from 9 a.m. until, 3 p.m. And Wayne County is bringing roughly 600 doses of a vaccine. I don't know yet which one.
Johnson & Johnson.
Is it Johnson & Johnson? We have 550 residents registered to come. And so there is still room for people to register. If you know of anybody who's interested, direct them to the Grosse Ile Recreation website. And again, Rusty, thank you for your team helping to participate in this.
Our pleasure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Uda. Nothing else. If there's no other business, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you,
Be
Uta.
safe.